some like producer had reached out, and I guess technically we could have had a reality show.
Oh,
yeah.
I was like,
welcome to another episode of ABG. Today, we're going to be doing an episode that we've done a couple of times, but not very recently. In today's world of social media, where it seems like everyone's sharing everything, and especially for us in the work that we do, sometimes it can feel like our public personas and who we really are get a little bit blurry, right? And most of us know that social media really only shows like 1% of what's happening in your real life. Maybe for us, it's a little bit more because we have like hour-long conversations with you all, but still, it's a very small percentage of who we really are and what our lives are really like. So we thought it would be fun to do another assumptions episode. We haven't done this in a while, and we've grown, we've changed, our podcast and our show has changed. So it's interesting to see when we get new listeners what people might think. So we went to our Instagram. Our handle is AsianBossGirl, and we polled some of you, and we got a couple of assumptions that were sent in, and that's what we're going to go over today and see if we can debunk some of them.
we thought for this episode that we would get kind of cozy. So if you don't notice, we're actually all wearing our PJs. Some of us look like normal clothes. Some of us look like, highly, Janet's top screams PJ top to me.
That's a PJ top. This is Mel's top. If you've listened to the podcast enough, you know about the Spider-Man top that she wears all the time.
I feel like, but especially with you two and our other friends, when we go like overnights or like hotel stays, they're like, oh, is Mel bringing her Spider-Man shirt? I'm like, hell yeah, I am. It's so comfy, and I got it from a random event. So I am literally wearing Spider-Man. This is like my go-to top. Helen's rocking our
ABG gear, yes.
That's very
ABG
cute.
crew. It's on sale now if you want to go to our website and purchase it.
It's
very cozy.
It's so
We wear it
cozy.
all the
I
time,
literally wear this to sleep. It's so cozy.
Don't you sweat?
It's not that hot in my room.
Anyways, let's get into the
Yeah, sorry.
assumptions from our listeners.
I'll start us off. So the first topic is to be around friendship. The first one is that you all get tired of each other.
I mean, yeah.
Crickets.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Honestly, I feel like I don't get tired of the both of you. I think we have long work days. Actually, yes. I was thinking about this yesterday, and we have long work days, but I think at the end of the workday, like I'm just like in general tired. It's like I'm not tired of both of you. It's more like I want my alone time. And if I think about the time that we traveled together, where we spent 4 days, 3 nights together, I didn't
same hotel room.
in the same hotel room. Like honestly, I didn't feel tired of you two. It was more like I just want to be home. I want to be with my kid. I didn't want to be working anymore. Like that's the level of tired that I got to. So it could be with anyone. And I think if it's like a more general feeling, I will say that I don't think I get tired of the both of you.
Aw.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
Yeah, I'm curious about your answer now when you're like, oh, really?
I'll go last since I said the assumption.
That was a really nice answer, Helen. I'm looking at her eyes and she's like,
I'm like,
"Do you not have
waiting.
the
Come
same
on,
thing to
Janet.
say?"
Come on.
I'm waiting.
I will say that there have been periods where I get very worn down, right? And I think the way that Helen put it, though, makes sense. Is like, I'm not, the way the question's being asked, it's like, do you get tired of each other or ABG?
Of
or
each
was
other.
it?
Yeah, of each other.
So I feel like I get tired sometimes of the work that we're doing or that session, like my energy's taking a nosedive and I want the alone time. And I didn't think about the separation the way that you described it. It's not that I'm tired of you ladies. I just crave being a little alone.
Yeah.
But I will say, surprisingly, like, I don't know that I spend this much time with anyone, right? Like the like friendship time and then also the work time. It's a lot of time to spend together. And I'm very surprised that I don't get tired of. I get tired of the work sometimes and I just get tired.
That's true.
Oh, all right, Mel.
I guess
I'm just kidding. It's okay.
You know what? Actually,
Truth.
I can come in because I remember there was one conversation we had about like we were each other's really close friends for a long time when we first started. And the more that you start to work together and that you're like spending time together, it's important to have other people in your life to balance it out too.
That's true.
So that's what I would say. It's like, it's not so much of getting tired of each other. It's more like we need to make sure you have other like support systems, other friends, other people to keep it like not so just like pigeonholed.
Okay, so I guess I'll answer. Helen, you actually bring up a good point, like dividing like the work with us. I think sometimes it's easy for me to blend it.
Yeah, I think that's
because we
me too.
obviously like spend so much time working together. Let me answer the assumption first. Yes, I do get tired of Sorry, both of you sometimes in periods of my life.
Ouch.
I think
I
I'm
can
like,
take it.
Yeah, but to be honest, it's like this with almost anyone. I feel like Janet mentioned, I'm the type of person that like I like spending time with different groups of people and friends because it stimulates me. Like being with just one group or one person all the time, just besides my partner, I don't know if I can. It's just not. I don't know.
I think even with your partner, it's important to have like solo time.
Yeah.
Right. That's a good point.
Yeah,
That's
and the thing is, it's something I didn't like. This is probably the first period of my life where I've had been with one solid with you
group.
both
Yeah,
for
yeah.
long. Because I've growing up, even in high school, college, I've always had like 2 to 3 sets that I circulate around, and I think that always provided me a lot of like again stimulation, joy, like happiness. So when we're like now I'm in this situation, it's like so different. So I'm just like. Maybe just like, but then you guys also understand, like, hey, like this weekend I'm just like do my own thing. But I will say it has definitely changed a lot the last few years because we changed our workflow. I think for the first, I will say I felt this the most when we first like went full time because we like spent every single day, not only that like together, but on Zoom calls.
Yeah.
That is
Zoom
extreme
fatigue.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
That is such a real thing for me. So I think now that we kind of changed up our workflow, we're like the other 2 days, like there's no meetings for us. Like there's not like 3-4 hours. Like we're doing our own stuff. Like I don't feel as like I'm not tired of you guys at all.
I think we also now actively like will preventatively not hang out to kind of stop that from happening, if that makes sense. Like we're not like if we already saw each other because we were traveling, usually then we go home and we spend time with our families over the weekend or something, right? So it's like you kind of there are ways that you kind of work around it, I guess.
I will say this period too of our friendship, we haven't really seen each other in a long time. Like I feel like
That's
we
true.
actually haven't hung out.
Yeah,
outside
I'm
of-
like,
she
I
was on
miss you
maternity
guys.
leave.
yeah. Like
That's true. It depends
Yeah.
on the yeah.
so maybe ebbs and flows. I think by
Those.
me saying that I'm tired of y'all doesn't mean I don't like y'all. Like it's not.
Yeah.
I don't ever correlate that. It's more like you just need periods of time to heal yourself.
Yeah.
And also heal. You know. You want to. I don't know. Heal the energy level to hang out with the other friends. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, guys aren't y'all offended, right?
No.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
No? Just kidding. Just kidding. I'm not.
You get it too.
I mean.
Here's it again. Just to add, I haven't seen you both really because you're busy.
Yeah.
You're like spending time with your baby. And
I think
get it.
that's where it's like if you refuel your energy with family or friends or other friends, like that's where I feel like I definitely don't feel like tired of you. Like I feel like I haven't hung out with you both.
Yeah.
You know?
But in this
Yeah.
period of time,
In this
though.
period.
In this
I
period of
understand
time,
too.
yes.
For sure.
Hope y'all still like me out there.
Of course, you're speaking your truth.
Okay. The next one. This is kind of funny. Helen is outgoing party lover. Mel is very nice, and Janet is shy, doesn't want to lead. This is a very
This is one assumption.
yeah.
Okay, well let's take it in parts then.
Okay.
First part.
Helen is an outgoing party lover.
I mean, that is a true statement,
Yeah. I was like, it's not wrong.
but it's not like the whole statement of who she is.
I think for me, when I read this, I picture someone who's like, I don't want to say crazy, but very out there, like hitting the clubs, like back to back. Helen doesn't do that at all. I think people like,
There
why?
was a time though when
No, it was a time. My ass is everywhere, right?
Yeah. But that is, actually, there was a time, but I feel like it's actually, I take that back. There was a time.
it is a true statement.
There was a time.
It was true.
But I don't know, when I read this statement, it sounds like Helen's like all over the place and crazy, but she really isn't.
Yeah, I am someone who is, I would say more of an optimist, half glass full type person, very spontaneous, outgoing. And when I'm there at the party, I love myself a good party. I will be very active and present and engaging, but I'm not the type of person that the night of when I know there's an event, I'm like craving it. I'm excited for it. I'm like, let's go. Let's like pregame. Let's do all of that. I'm more just like tired on my couch and having to like rip myself off the couch to start getting ready. And then once I get there, I will be present and I will be party animal Helen.
Yeah.
But it's not, it's definitely toned down from the land before time.
She's not seeking it out. Yeah.
But I think even just the way, I guess, all of us and you quote unquote party is very different now. Like now the way we party is we go over to your house, we start off with the LaCroix, and then maybe like one shot gets poured and we order like to go.
Yeah.
Like it's really
Take
like
out,
It's very wholesome.
and simple.
Yeah. It's what my parents used to do. And now we're here.
Yes. What was
Let's move on to the second one was about Mel.
It said Mel is very nice.
Based on my last assumption, maybe not actually.
Define nice.
Define nice.
I will say, okay, Mel is very nice, but she is also but she's also multifaceted.
Oh wow,
Oh,
I like
that's a
that
good
word.
way to put it. Good
Right?
word choice.
So she's saying I'm a bitch, but in a really nice way.
No, okay. So Mel is very nice. Like if you were
Okay.
to see her at an ABG event, if you were to see her on a street and you approach her, she's one of the easiest people to like talk to.
That's true.
Very amicable, just very friendly for sure.
true.
As a friend, she is very multifaceted, and I think that's also your like a positive trait of yours,
Yeah,
where you
I
have this like snappy side of you. You know,
Snappy.
snappy. You do have that, and
Yeah, I
I
do.
love you for that. And I think that's like part of your characteristic and your aura. Mel's doing this thing this year, especially where she'll have something on her mind that some could say is like mean, but in her mind she'll be like, I have something I want to say, but I promise this year to be nice.
You catch yourself.
And
I
like,
do.
I'm like, bitch, like just say it. And you always say it. But I will say that when you do share it, I'm like, okay, that is a very human emotion of what you're going through. And I think in a safe space of being with friends, you should be able to share stuff like
Yeah.
that. You're not doing it in a mean way towards, if it's about someone, like towards the person, that would be mean. But when you're doing it in like the safety of your friends, I think that's totally normal.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, but multifaceted.
Yeah, what she said.
Yeah. Okay, here's the thing.
But I will say generally true. Mel is very, very nice. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. I try to be. But the thing is that I like everyone else. I think I will say that I'm a pretty judgmental person, or I used to be really judgmental, and now I definitely dwindle it down. But there's moments where I'm just like I actually feel bad when I'm annoyed with someone. I'm like, oh, I feel so bad. I'm so annoyed with her or with him.
That is true.
And
You're-
I
feel guilty, yeah.
I feel guilty.
Yeah.
But you're also someone who feels, so you can't help but feel.
I know.
Yeah.
But then I feel like actually I don't know if this like goes against me being nice, but whenever I feel like a certain way that's negative with someone, I always my roommate called this out. I was like, man, I feel like such a bitch. And she's like, stop labeling yourself your bitch for thinking that though. And I was like, I think as sometimes when people who are nice, there's also a different I don't say we're two-faced, again, multifaceted. Like I'm always like, hey, happy and nice all the time. It's like, no, I feel certain ways, certain times.
Do you think like the nicer you are, the bitchier you could be? Like, is it one of those things where if it's like,
I thought of it that way.
I don't know.
If you're really nice, maybe you're like restricting a lot.
No, actually, I don't think that's true because I have Ray's really good friend, his friend's wife, the nicest girl I've ever met, and there's
Like
no
genuinely nice.
genuinely
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
really nice. I'm just like,
Yeah.
damn, she's hella nice.
That's true. I do think you're feeling guilty about even feeling a certain way is a sign of someone who is very like innately like kind or feeling like prioritizing other people.
Yeah. I'll also add one more statement. This is my own assumption. I actually think between the three of us, people assume Janet's the nicest. I'm surprised I'm the one that people assume.
I would also agree.
Yeah.
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 Janet's definitely the nicest.
Well,
Sometimes to a fault.
Okay.
Well, to your statement earlier.
Yeah, maybe I'm like also capable of being the bitchiest. I don't know.
I don't think so. You're definitely not bitchy at all.
Not capable.
The bitchy
You're
side,
capable of
no.
many things, but not that.
Bitchy / multifaceted, really nice side.
On this couch. Yes.
Just
The
kidding.
bitchy
We're all nice and multifaceted.
Janet, the question was,
Is
or
shy.
the assumption was that she's shy /
Doesn't want to lead.
So I think shy is defined as someone who is like very timid,
Yeah.
very socially like uncomfortable, very nervous, and that's more of an internal feeling. Do you feel like you are shy?
I will get shy in certain situations, especially if it's like a middle-sized to large-sized group and filled with a lot of people who are maybe not focused, where the energy or like the attention isn't automatically kind of like given to me. Meaning, if you don't introduce yourself and everyone's just like talking to each other, I find it really hard to like barge in, and that's when I get kind of like nervous and then like timid. But I feel like I've kind of outgrown a lot of the like if I go into a large room and people are generally open and I don't feel nervous. But yeah, there are situations where I would say that that's pretty accurate that I do feel shy.
Yeah. I think you do a really good job, though, of when we're at events, like you put yourself out there. So I think sometimes people could perceive you as more shy because like your voice is on average maybe like decibels lower than other like the average voice out there. And so people might say like, oh, Janet's very shy, but Janet like puts herself out there very well. And maybe it's like also proximity to the people around you. And if it's
Yeah.
around the people on this couch, like we're just much louder and I guess bitchier too. So that could be perceived like
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
relativeness, right? Like
Yeah,
relatively
that's true.
more shy. But I think you do a really good job of putting yourself out there too.
Thank you.
Yeah, and like grabbing lunches with the people and networking and
Yeah, I was very shy when I was younger, and I learned to kind of like work past that. But I also have to say, if you are somebody who is a little bit more shy and timid at times, that's okay. I feel like it's perceived as such a negative thing. To the point that Helen made, though, if it's making you feel nervous, that's where you might be like, no, it's not fun to feel like anxious, right? So learn to work around it without kind of like, avoiding people, because that's not cool.
And then I think to the second part of that assumption with Janet being a leader, I think Janet leads very well. Like we all equally lead in our own departments, and I think that's necessary for a small company.
Yeah.
But when I even think about like the Today Show, I remember Janet like led that interview. Like she was I literally looked to her as like, Janet, you're gonna lead like a lot of the responses here because you're the best at this, and Mel and I are gonna look towards you to like lead this, So in many ways, I think a lot of people will say someone who's more introverted or maybe on the shyer side, they're not good leaders. But I think Janet really debunks that because she does lead in ways, and especially when she needs to. Like I definitely trust her to like lead in things. So.
Oh, that was really sweet. Thank you.
Yeah.
I do think like when you say that everyone has to lead in their own way in a small company, that's very true for us. I feel like, and we said that usually that's like what the magic sauce is, right? Is that you have the right people with the right strengths to lead the right way. But to the assumption of I don't like to lead, I will say it depends on what type of leadership. Some things that I feel stronger at, I like if it's like public speaking on certain interview type things, once in a while, unless I'm having a bad day, like I will feel okay. I won't shy away from leading there. But if it's like, hey, lead to plan an event, I'm like,
We know what our strengths and weaknesses are.
Yeah, so it depends. It depends.
The next one is Mel uses millennial or Zoomer slang that Helen and Janet don't understand. I don't even know what that is.
I don't think Mel understands
What
it
is
either.
millennial Zoomer slang?
I will say that of the three of us, I could see Mel coming to us and trying out slang.
Slang, that's
the
true.
most.
It's like the scene from Mean Girls when she was like, "That's so fetch," and then Regina's like, "Stop making fetch a thing. It's not happening."
Yeah.
I haven't done that yet.
Yeah. Or, like you're the person of our trio that would
Who
come
would do that?
and be like, yo, that guy has riz.
You know the funny thing is, I feel like,
And then you would
Yeah,
say it
right?
and then pause for a reaction.
Oh, that's true.
that's true. I have been saying I do use the word riz.
Do you?
Actually, I don't think I've heard you use that word before.
Maybe not with you guys, but like because in my house we're discussing what riz means.
Okay. Well, discussing it is different from using it.
And then sometimes I say now it's like, oh yeah, that guy but he has riz.
Exactly. She's just questioning it though.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. She'd be like, yeah. Did I say it right?
Yeah, but I honestly, please comment down what the heck is millennial or Zoomer slang. I really don't know what that is.
So I actually like Googled this because I was curious, but a lot of the words are, I guess, like, what was it, like chuggy? Like we talk about that as a group, right? And I don't think you've ever used that in a
But I know
sentence.
chuggy is a thing that like Gen Zs make fun of us for, like we're so chuggy.
Yeah.
Or like when people say like bet or mid, like that's so mid.
Oh, I don't say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I go,
So
what?
That's false then.
Very false.
assumption.
I don't know what that is. Okay. The last one under friendship is, you ladies have never been in a heated argument where you didn't speak to each other for days or someone becomes the middle person.
I don't think we have. Yeah. I mean, to be very honest, we have gotten into heated discussions like over work. I don't think it's ever, or I mean, if anything happens like friendship wise, the same with work wise, I feel like we always tend to nip it in the bud before it gets to a place where you're like ignoring the person and someone's falling in the middle. I don't think we ever really have that.
Yeah. I think like we've gotten into small tiffs, especially in the beginning when we were just trying to figure out like our different working styles. Like that definitely came up more so in the beginning. But I think nowadays when something comes up, we can kind of know each other really well, that we can sense each other's emotional tanks and if we're being pushed to a certain limit. And I think we're also the type of people that to be a little bit more self-deprecating where we can, when we see that our friends are feeling a certain way, we'll try to like insert humor or like lighten up the mood a little bit. So to avoid any like big fallout. But yeah, I think we're all like very passionate about certain things, so it can get a little bit heated, but we're always very aware of like how far to push that button.
Yeah. I think as we're talking right now, I think a trait I realized between the three of us, maybe just in our dynamic, we're actually not avoidant people when it comes to conflict between us.
Yeah.
We just don't, because I don't know, just it festers in us and we're just not the type to let it fester.
Yeah.
Fester. But yeah, that is false.
Health is wealth. Especially after the last few years, my belief in the importance of putting time and effort into your well-being has deepened. Even if you don't feel sick, those annual physicals are so important to keep up, and that includes dental, eye appointments, etc. And if you're looking for a new doctor, I want to highlight ZocDoc. It's the only free app that lets you find and book doctors who are patient-reviewed, take your insurance, are available when you need them, and treat almost every condition under the sun. One of my favorite parts about ZocDoc are the verified patient reviews, so you can see what other real humans had to say about their visit. Go to ZocDoc.com, choose a time slot, and whether you want to see the doctor in person or do a video visit, or you can book an appointment with a few taps in their app and start feeling better faster with ZocDoc. Go to ZocDoc.com/ABG and download the ZocDoc app for free. Then find and book a top-rated doctor today. Many are available within 24 hours. That's ZocDoc.com/ABG. ZocDoc.com/ABG.
All right, so the next set of assumptions that we have here is under the topic of career. The first one here is you've never been fired. Have you been fired?
I have not. I've had a lot of jobs too, so I had to like go back. I'm like,
That's good, Janet. You didn't get fired. Okay, I don't know if this is considered fired. When I first moved to LA and I got my first like corporate job, they gave me an offer. And I decided last minute as looking over the offer. I think I didn't negotiate before, and then I got the offer. And then I asked my friend Sally, who's a lawyer, to review the contract. She was like, hey, Mel, they're like totally like severely either one, underpaying you or not giving you like the correct benefits or whatever. So I took her notes. I gave it back to the company, and they rescinded the offer. So I was like, you could do that?
yeah, I don't think I've ever heard
It's
of
like
that.
they offered me the job, and I was like, hey, yes, I'm down for the job. Wait a second. This doesn't add up for me. And then they said, never mind.
Just kidding.
Huh.
So I guess that's like,
So you like had the job for like
I had the
day?
job for like two I never stepped into the office after like the first interview. So I was like really
Wait,
confused.
but did you sign papers?
No.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it was more like you had questions about the offer.
This is so many years ago, but I think I might have accepted and then said, hey, actually really, really quick, I'm noticing this stuff. So maybe that's the thing.
And did they just ignore your email
just-
completely?
They just said, hey, we're going to retract back our offer.
Oh,
They
interesting.
can
That
take
is
it back.
so
Yeah. What company is this? Call
I
out.
don't want to say, but they're not very active anymore, which makes sense.
it does make sense.
Yeah, that's my only fired story.
Yeah. I would say that I've never been fired, but I've been probably close to being fired. And this was my first job at an arcade. Do you know this story? Have I told this before? So yeah, I was up at like 15, 16 years old and worked at an arcade in Watertown, Massachusetts with two of my friends, actually. We were in high school, two of my high school friends at a time. It was our first jobs, all of us. And it was an arcade. So usually at an arcade, we're the people who you're giving your tickets to. And then we give you gifts in return.
That's a fun job.
It was a really good first job. So there were many times where these kids, like these young kids, would come up to us and give us 2 tickets. And like, what do you give them for 2 tickets? 1 Tootsie Roll.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like such a sad exchange, especially because I feel like kids are just not fully functional humans yet. So they can't really play the games to the extent of getting more tickets, right? It's not fair to them. So in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm going to give him like 3 Tootsie Rolls instead. And I would just keep giving. And that's like maybe where this started, where I would just be giving out more candies. And especially if someone gave me like 25 tickets, I'm not going to count out all the Tootsie Rolls. So I would just fill up like a huge paper bag full of candies and just give it to kids. And they were so happy. Like they were so happy leaving. But that's probably how it started. And then my sister came in and then our friends started coming in. And I was like, all right, what do you want?
She was the hookup.
She hooked everyone up. I
was like, what toys do you want back here? Because I got it for you. I got you. And it got to a point where there was one time my sister came in and our supervisor, like no one was around. And I don't think there were any cameras either. I opened up one of the machines because we got the keys to the machines. Opened up one of the machines. I took out the roll of tickets and just put it in my sister's bag.
Wait, fully in
Okay,
the
that
wheel
is-
shape? That's kind of
In the wheel shape. It was like this big. There were so many tickets in there.
Oh my, that is so different. Like, oh, here's a bag of candy.
yeah.
That's how it starts.
More than a Tootsie Roll.
And then it becomes a paper bag full of candy, and then it becomes that. But yeah, this is what you do when you give 16-year-olds power, I guess. Like one of my friends, we also started giving away like stuffed animals to our friends, like those big ones, which requires a lot of tickets.
Oh my gosh.
And one of my friends like was doing a transaction or giving away one of the
A trade
stuffed
was
animals.
happening.
Yeah. And our supervisor is this old Asian man. He probably saw us as his kids because me and my friends were all Asian, this elder Asian man. And he was like kind of mean to us. And we thought he was like in the back room.
Oh, shoot.
And so while this transaction was happening, he comes running out from the back and just goes, "Give me that stuffed animal. Get out of here." And he basically fired my friend like on the spot. It was it was a very like loud, dramatic scene with like all the customers around. It was really, really sad. And I was like, damn, this is the real world. Like this is what happens
Yeah.
when you do this stuff at work.
Yeah.
So it was like a realization and definitely a time where I was like, that could have been me because I was doing that too.
So you
But-
came very close to being fired.
Very close to being fired, but was not fired. And sorry to my friend.
Oh my
I
gosh.
was fired.
That's insane. Like a wheel of tickets. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a lot of tickets. And she would go home and like, you know,
Oh my gosh.
unroll it and then bring it back in and get stuff. But yeah, I was not a great kid back then.
But better to learn it early.
That's true, that's true.
Than later in life. So
Yeah. Okay. Next assumption here is that you don't miss your corporate careers.
Ooh.
That's a lie.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I loved my corporate time for me personally because it was great. And then I think it's really rewarding, running your own business and stuff. But it can also be very unstable. And sometimes, like I miss that paycheck every 2 weeks. I miss my benefits. I miss paying like $5 for the gym because they subsidize everything.
Oh yeah.
I miss the free food sometimes. Like there's a lot of things I do miss about working in corporate. That because now that we're business owners, we have to pay for every single thing. But yeah, and I do, yeah, and it maybe like it's been so long, but I'm thinking back when I first worked, like I had the large, lavish offices with all the equipment, like everything was like you could use without like not using your own money. So
Right.
and yeah, it's just different. So I do miss it sometimes.
I miss the peace of mind that was more
yes.
there.
That's what it is.
Yeah, to Mel's point, like I think there's just so much more potential or there's just so many more things to potentially stress about. And if you're a stress case, that can, you can go down a rabbit hole on some bad days if you are thinking so extensively about like the responsibility and everything. Being able to kind of like, even though I've had jobs that were like very intense projects and you have to take homework and it's like over weekends and stuff, but it's never quite the same level of like feeling tied, I think. So the peace of mind of being able to like, it's someone else's problem or it's like ultimately not the end of the world. It's a lot harder to like make that call. So I miss the peace of mind, and I also just miss like health insurance.
I know.
Like, I mean, I have health insurance now, but having to like buy individual health insurance, that stuff is so confusing. And like also the laws keep changing and like I don't know, and tax stuff. So that's actually on one of my to-do listings that I have to follow up. But those kind of small things that you just like take for granted that you don't have to like deal with, I would say I miss that. But otherwise, actual work itself, like I don't really like. I actually do. I don't miss the corporate work. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I think I miss like all the benefits and actually having an office to like go into and the social component of it. Also, one thing that I didn't really, I guess, value as much is like just the huge, especially if you work for a large corporate company, the huge global network that you have. It's like you're literally 1 degree away from someone like Egypt or China, and you can like message them whenever. Like it's actually pretty insane. So that part of it I do miss, but I think the flexibility that we have and the work-life balance that we have at ABG is just incomparable. And especially with a kid now, I'm just like, I can't see myself going back to corporate. Like this is where I want to stay. at least for this point in time.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one here is your corporate job was more challenging than ABG.
I think it depends.
Yeah,
Like what you, well, I guess, like, yeah. So how would I define challenging? I would say like my brain would hurt a little bit more at some of the things that I did, if that makes sense. Like just like because I was doing UX design and consulting at one point, and it's like you're working in Excel sometimes, and you're working in Azure or like
Azure.
I don't even remember the name of the other programs that I use. So it's a little bit more like technically confusing versus like ABG. The thing though that makes it really challenging is having, because we did at a time when we were editing, there was some of that as well, but I think it's like having to shift and do a lot of different things. The thing that I struggle with a lot is like multitasking, and I feel like we have to do that a lot. at this period particularly, because we're focusing on growing and we're trying to do like multiple projects. So actually, maybe I'm like changing my answer now as I'm like answering it. If the assumption is that your work was harder, always I just say it depends.
Yeah.
It depends.
I don't know why I don't have an answer for this. I'm gonna say my work was not as hard, but I'm thinking about like when I worked in fashion, because honestly, I feel like when I left, I got into a groove of like I knew what I was doing. Mm-hmm. But the problem was is that I didn't feel engaged. Like my mind, I was like, oh, whatever. Like I didn't feel like I felt bored with that job, and I think that's a different type of like feeling. But when I worked at Jubilee, I thought that was actually pretty challenging because I just felt, I don't know why, but like when I work for ABG, I feel like I understand our audience a bit more than at Jubilee. I struggled a bit. So I
that
also,
was a big part because you were community too.
I
You
was
were in
community. And
yeah.
so I think for me, there was challenging. And that was my first time being like a kind of like a leadership role. And I felt the pressure of like, this whole company is relying on me to know all this stuff. And I don't know, maybe because it felt more like corporate that I felt more pressure. But with ABG, it's a different type of hard work because with our work, it's like we're always working because we're constantly trying to grow. So it's just like, it's different. I don't know.
Yeah. Very good points there. And I could see, yeah, both sides. I would say for me, my last job was definitely more challenging. I guess I'm the only one here, but that's like very firmly believing in that. More challenging because it's kind of like twofold. First, it's just the workload, which is insanity. And you talk to anyone who works at a Big Four, they will, agree with me here where, yeah, during the regular work week, it's like, 40 hours of chargeable work. And then during busy season is 50 and then 50 chargeable. And then plus paperwork and compliance is like 60 to 70. Like it's pretty insane. And it's also very technically challenging too, because you're always learning, you're always growing, you're always trying to figure things out. So that part of it for sure. And I think the second part for me of why it was challenging was that more so the environment that I was in. I think in that environment, I very much felt like I had to show up as corporate Helen and not fun Helen. There's I couldn't be fully myself. And I think anytime you're in an environment where you can't fully be yourself and you're held back by certain things, it's always going to be a little bit more challenging.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
So with ABG, I feel like, yes, we have a lot of work, but we also have work in, I feel like it's more like spurts of like long nights and things like that. And I actually don't mind working that way. And then we also have a lot of good work-life balance too, which makes work feel less challenging than it was before.
Yeah.
And I think it's like for all of you out there who are listening, like that is something that I find to be very important. It's like finding a job that aligns with your lifestyle and aligns with your values has been the distinction between the two. Like that is clearly something of ABG, of why I value and appreciate and am so grateful for ABG, because this type of lifestyle finally works for me and feels less challenging when it is that way.
That's true.
Yeah.
I had an interesting observation as you were talking. I think the reason why because I think your last job was like so demanding that ABG feels like it's definitely more fun and rewarding, but there's more balance. I was saying when we started ABG, the biggest difference for me was that I feel ABG work was so much more than my previous job. So I didn't feel that like, I was like, oh my God, this is like, I'm working so much more on the weekends than I did my last corporate jobs. So, but also because I was bored, but like, I think my last two jobs have been very like, once you're done, you clock out. I'm done.
Yeah.
So that was a huge mental shift for me. Like, okay, ABG work, you could be done, but like, there's always like something to do, because it's like growing pains and like having your own business. But yeah, that's something I noticed.
Now we're going to address some assumptions about ABG work, or just like our time at ABG, I guess.
Comfy.
We do share a lot of personal stories and things, and we've been doing this for like almost 6 years now, so a lot about ourselves are out there on the internet. Do you ladies ever regret? I guess the assumption is that we have like shared things that we regret sharing with the public.
I don't have any regrets for what I've shared. I think maybe for myself, anytime we share something vulnerable, I think I get to a place where I'm okay with sharing. There might be times that we're like, oh, do you want to talk about that? I'm just like, I'm not ready to talk about that right now.
Yeah.
Like wait for, I'm like, I process and let me share. And there are times where I don't share certain things, I see this comment a lot on Instagram when we share about our partners. They're like, I wonder how their partners feel. I'm just like, you do know that we run we like kind of check with our like significant others, like, hey, I'm gonna talk about this. I want to make sure you're okay with that.
Yeah. We have full control of what we say.
We do
on this podcast.
Yeah.
Sorry, just your toe.
No. Please don't have foot fetish. Okay.
We're in PJs today. I saw like literally one toe coming out from the blanket. Like,
I was adjusting the blanket. I was like, oh, cool, I think my foot's covered, but I didn't want to like look. My feet don't sweat.
Wait, which toe was it?
it was a big one.
And it just, anyways.
And I hate feet.
Okay, my toe is out.
What's the question?
Do you regret anything you said or
Have
shared?
you ever shared anything
Oh,
about
okay,
your
okay.
private life?
I regret sharing my foot.
I don't have any regrets with the stories I've shared. I will say that the last few episodes that we recorded about work wives. So my friend Crystal messaged me, and she is someone who is just not on Instagram, doesn't listen to podcasts, and she was just like, oh, I'm so honored that you talked about me in this way. And apparently someone had shared the clip with her, and then she shared the clip with my one of my executive directors, my PPED. And because she's a senior manager, so like they're pretty close in level and they're like friends now, and she shared it with someone else who's also I think a senior manager still, and I was just like, what do you mean you shared it? I'm pretty mortified by that, just because when I was at that job, I kept the lines very distinct between professional Helen and personal Helen. And when I left the firm, I don't even think I said like, oh, I have a podcast. And that actually wasn't even the intention of like why we quit our jobs, right? I think a lot of people think we actually quit our jobs to pursue ABG. It was more like I got to a period of time where I was pretty much done with the job and ABG was there. And we all just happened to be like, hey, we're all jobless. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Right. So I didn't share with anyone that I had a podcast. And so to imagine those worlds kind of like meshing and them finding all the archives of, our waxing stories, our poop stories, and our letter to our exes, very intimate details just made me feel a certain way. But then the second like immediate thought I had after that was, well, this is all part of the human experience. You know, like everything that we share here is very authentic to ourselves and it's part of our lives. And we are people who will emote and cry and feel things and love and lust and, not be perfect. And I think about that. I'm just like, I think it's whatever I share, they're all true stories. They're all authentic to me. And it's part of my experience. And I have the agency to share it if I want to. Yeah. And if you want to, see me a certain way or judge me a certain way, like, I don't know, it's just who I am.
Yeah.
So after I had that thought, I was like, okay, I don't feel nervous or scared that any of our stories are out there. Yeah.
That's a really good way to look at it. It's all a part of the human experience, and as long as we feel good about what we're sharing, it's okay how other people react. I guess when I think about this question, the first thing I think about is my mom. I have an Asian mom. And I think a lot of people of Asian cultural background will relate to this, but we're very private, right, culturally. And it can be a little bit taboo to share things and like, especially with like the internet. And my mom is like not the most like tech savvy. She does watch YouTube, so she might be watching this. Hi, mommy. But she kind of like freaks out when she sees that like I'm in video on the internet, right? And so she's always been very like, be careful what you share and things like that. And so when I've had those conversations with her, I have kind of like reeled back. I'm like, oh, because when we first started, I was like, oh, I don't know. No one I know would listen to podcasts and it doesn't matter. And then to Helen's point, the moment you start to like meet, people in your personal life who will mention something, you're like, oh, you listen? Like then you realize they know things about you.
Yeah, that's true.
As one example, when I was thinking about freezing my eggs, I did go back and forth about like how much detail, like, well, I figured I would talk about it in some format, but I thought maybe it can be very like neat and clean cut, right? Like research and not like so much personal experience in just like one episode. And because thinking a lot about like what my mom was saying and how personal it is and you're sharing like health information sometimes, right? But the more that I shared about like my personal experience and personal stories, the more I got people messaging me sharing about their stories and the more supported I felt. So that encouraged me to share more. I think that if I had a negative experience, I might have regretted it. But so far, anything I've shared that has been extra vulnerable or required more like courage, I've gotten positive feedback on. So it's been okay. I hope I don't regret anything in the future. Please be nice in the comments. I don't know. The next assumption is that we can't do a podcast unscripted.
Oh, interesting assumption there. I mean, if we did, it might sound like shit.
I mean, we could technically do it.
We did for the first episode, and it sounded like shit.
Wait, define unscripted though.
Yeah. I will say, I think with podcasts, there is a spectrum, right? There is like the news podcasts that are very much like scripted, verbatim almost probably, and like 10 minutes, it's very time limited. And then there are the podcasts out there that start off with like, how's your weekend? How are you doing? And they go on for like 2 hours. We are not that type of podcast. I would say we probably fall in somewhere in the middle. And this is like giving you all a little bit of a BTS, but we outline our episodes. And we do that also for time management because we have an audio editor and we want to also manage her workload and let her know, our episodes are anywhere between 45 to like 75 minutes. So just so that she can manage her time. So we do outline. And I think that's also just like a part of our like work. It's like if you want to hear quality stories from us, we do prep a little bit ahead of time because it's almost like, for example, if say Janet, you had one episode about like egg freezing and like that was the only one for months. Like you kind of want to get your like stories in like check.
Yeah,
right?
I thought you were like imagine doing the episode right now with like no thinking.
Oh no! I know. I saw like the fear in your face, and I was just like, I don't know what. But yeah, so we do want to provide quality for you all. So that's why we do outline and we do try to prep a little bit ahead of time. But I don't think it's scripted. There are definitely moments where we're just going to be talking and things come up like Mel's toe. That wasn't scripted.
Was not scripted at all.
I think it's also like each person does it a little bit differently. And this is something that like took us a while to kind of figure out, right? Because you have 3 different people who have 3 different working styles or personalities and ways that they like to have conversations. So for us, we provide enough structure so that everyone kind of generally understands like the subtopics we're talking about, and then it's up to you if you want to script it, if you want to research, or if you want to go in cold and do it, right? And so I think if we once again could we do it? Yeah, we could, but it could be a 2 to 3 hour episode.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe we should try
maybe
that
not
once.
very interesting.
I'm not being scripted today for sure.
Yeah, I did very little scripting today, so
Also, I just didn't have time. I was like, no.
But we had the outline ahead of time.
We did,
So
we
that's
do.
what
Yeah.
we do.
and we did pull the assumptions ahead of time, so it's like a give or take
It's preparation.
preparation.
Yeah.
So the last assumption about ABG related stuff is that we are in the process of writing a YA book or story.
That's interesting.
I don't know where that rumor came from.
Cool. Okay, so I'm next for assumptions. This one's gonna be a little bit personnel. The first one is Janet and Mel will get engaged soon.
Ooh.
Can you not jinx that? Gosh. No, I'm
That's
kidding.
not wood.
That's not wood. Yeah.
I would love for this assumption to be true.
We have predictions.
You have predictions for Janet and yourself.
Not myself, Janet.
Oh, we have predictions.
We have
for
predictions
Janet, 'cause
for
you're
Janet.
part of this
Oh, yeah, I
assumption
am.
too.
Predictions or a bet going, more like.
Both.
Yeah. Should we say it? No.
I don't know.
No, now you have to.
I think we've told you.
We already told you.
Oh, it's that same one. Okay.
Yeah.
I will say, I mean, like my partner and I have like talked about the topic, but there's nothing like definitively planned. So your assumption is just as good as mine.
I am not getting engaged this year for sure. Probably.
There we go.
I kind of hope it's not this year. We talk as if it's going to happen, but I don't think we have had serious talks about it. He knows which ring I like, though. So I drunkenly tried on our friend Amy's ring. I was like, "This is a ring I like." He goes, "Cool." Engaged as soon as like I don't know.
Yeah. What do you mean by soon?
Like next year. Right?
Okay,
I don't. So it's weird when you say that. Like hearing that out loud, I'm
Sounds
just like,
crazy,
"Oh
yeah.
shit!" Like I don't know. Like
Because next year sounds like it's really soon, but if you think about it, there's a whole like
Months.
months. 2024.
honestly, I'm gonna say it here, and for the first time, I don't know about it. It might happen next year. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I feel like maybe for me, I'm not trying to deflect here. But I think as your timeline, I'm just like, oh, Janet, like,
Deflect.
so I'm just like, I feel like Janet probably with my predictions with this year or early next year. Might me?
I will say that I am very excited for hopefully this to be sooner than later. I feel like these two have been planning and helping me with the bachelor party so much, and like going to wedding dress shopping and all of that. And honestly, like I'm so excited to be in like the shoes of being at your bridal shops and like seeing you in dresses and like helping to plan all your stuff. Like I'm actually very excited for when that time comes. So that's like I'm very much looking forward to that and just supporting y'all.
We can't wait. So after Helen,
and then
so maybe we'll check back when those moments happen and in this video see how accurate our predictions were.
Okay, I would say Mel probably late next year.
I would. Oh,
or mid next year.
I might push it a little further to the
really?
Oh, wait, am I doing math correctly about her age?
I'm 32. Wow, this is like real life happening.
Yeah, I would
think
say
next year.
potentially 24,
That kinda freaks me
25,
out,
maybe
but
early
like
25.
I don't know. No,
Yeah,
that sounds
it's okay.
weird.
You're never
Yeah.
ready. You're never ready.
Are you sure?
That's
Yeah.
true.
To get engaged?
I mean, it honestly is just a ring.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Like by the time you're engaged, you should be committed.
That's true.
Oh, like
You're
it's just it's
That-
like the
formality.
event is just formality.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Now it's time to throw it to Helen. Helen is working on baby number 2. Are you?
False. Next. No, we have a wedding coming up. I also feel like with our son right now, like a lot of things that what I hear from other people who have more than one baby, it's like, yeah, you start to focus less time on your first. And I feel like I haven't spent enough time focusing on my first right now. Like he's still, I can't, like, I don't want to like split time yet, you know? So that's where I am. So false.
Okay. We also have this internal discussion going on. Like, can all three of us maybe one day all three of us will be pregnant around the same time.
Mel keeps sending me these maternity photo shoots with friends.
Oh my gosh.
And she's like, let's save this for when we're all pregnant. I'm like, okay.
You never know.
Will Instagram be around then?
Just for ourselves.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
The next assumption is you'll never want to move out of LA.
I think I would generally say true for me. I think SoCal. I don't know, like LA specifically, but SoCal I think would be true for me. As someone who grew up on the East Coast in Boston, I think Boston is an incredible place to grow up. It's like very small, connected. You really feel connected to the people around you too. It's just like a very, I don't know, vibrant city. But I feel like with LA, what I love about it is just how expansive it is and how you can do so many different things and activities. I find myself on weekends, I'm like, I need to go find parks. I need to go find libraries. I need to go to the beach. Like there's with a kid, you have to like have more things to do. So definitely feel like I'll probably be in SoCal for the long term, at least for now.
I have said, yeah, my family's all here. Although if we're getting like very specific, I don't know about LA County because like Helen said, Southern California, I have family in Orange County. I have family that is like city of industry. So it'll be somewhere around the LA area is my intention. So yeah, I would say that would be a true assumption for me.
I don't know. So I think for me, like I shared before, like I wanted to move to Taiwan and like get that like different experience. I've been in LA for like almost 8 years now.
That's a long time.
And when I hear someone that goes, I'm moving to New York or I'm moving somewhere else, I find myself very drawn to that story. And I'm always very curious how their life is like in the place they choose to move. I think a lot of people uprooted their life or having that nomadic life, like they're just bouncing around countries or cities. I find it so fascinating that I think I wouldn't mind living somewhere else for like temporary stay, like 2 to 3 months. And Ray and I have talked about it because Ray's company is based in New York City. And I always like joke around. I was like, well, what if your company like wants you to go back to New York or go to New York? He was like, well, he was like, would you come with me? I was like, I would want to, but it depends on our work. But at the same time, I don't want to feel like, and I know you guys also said this to me. It's like, if there's an experience I want to experience, to not let, I guess, quote unquote, ABG or being in LA hold me down. Because our work, we can make it work. But I think for the long run, like starting a family and like I'm going to have my roots in Los Angeles regardless. Like I don't see myself living full time anywhere else. But I think for the time being, the next like 3 to 5 years, I would be open to living in a different state or a country for like a month. Like actually maybe a different, like, no, right now I'm thinking about San Diego or like Hawaii or New York again, just like for fun. But yeah, it's up in the air. I don't know. I really don't know. All right, the next assumption is you'd never audition for a reality show.
There was a time last year.
Was it last year?
2
2 years ago.
Oh,
No,
two.
It was not last year because you met Eugene last year. It was the year before that.
No, it was. It was 2022. I
shit.
actually now remember because I remember filming the video in
Oh,
Los
yeah.
Feliz.
Oh.
So this is when I was very single, yes, before I met Eugene. And I was like, look, I hit a point where I was like over the apps, and sometimes we get emails in our inboxes like to Asian Boss Girl, like, hey, there's like castings for I don't know, different like reality type. They won't say what it is, right? But they said that there would be some sort of dating thing, and we found your like Instagram profiles or whatever. Are you interested? If you are, submit a video. So I was like, fuck it, what do I have to lose? And sitting in my little apartment with my little phone, and I was like, my name is Janet, and blah blah blah. So I did apply to this show. It ended up being amazing, and they actually went to Paris. So it was like a dating story type
gosh.
fairy tale type thing. But yeah, that was my one like LA moment of submitting like a tape to something or like a video.
Okay.
I guess I have two, but I guess the first one was I was on a game show. And no one will ever know about this, about which show.
I
Actually,
want to see someone dig this video up.
They're gonna
have
dig
you
it
seen
up,
this
dude.
video? Have you? I haven't showed you.
You
both?
never
show
showed it.
Why do I feel like I've seen it? I feel
I've
like
never
I've
seen it.
Okay. This was actually not too long ago too. This might have been like 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago,
Right
maybe 3
before
years ago,
pandemic.
right before the pandemic. Went on this game show, and it was either going to be like trivia related or like something physical. So they like gave me a hotel and everything, and next to the studio. It was the physical one, and it's so embarrassing. Like, I have an account called One Pull Up, which I haven't posted on anything for a while, but for a reason, because I cannot pull myself up. And with this obstacle course, I had to pull myself up. And I basically couldn't. So I was literally just like trying so hard. Everyone else around me was like climbing and shit. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't pull myself up. Why didn't I work harder on this one pull up? Also in that moment, I thought to myself, like, I'm so sorry to all my Asian women out there. I'm literally the vision of a weak Asian woman right now. And I don't want to be this. And it's so embarrassing. I was also in some like character gear.
I was like, the outfit was the best.
The outfit, like, it looked so dumb. I was like yodeling. Fucking no, man. It was bad.
What?
It
But
was
yeah.
fun. I think it was. I remember she was like texting us because none of us have really know people directly, like super close within our circle that have like gone on to game shows like
I
that.
want to see the yodeling.
Yeah, we're like, what is it like? What are you doing? You're like, oh, I don't know. I'm wearing something weird.
Yeah. So that video never surfaced, and I think because we were already doing ABG, some people had messaged me or DM'd me. Not a lot of people have cable TV anymore, so some people DM'd me. And they were like, "Is that you, Helen?" Ignore. I just never left
what
on
do you
red.
mean?
Left on red. Yeah.
The second one.
Oh, second one. Some like producer had reached out, and I guess technically we could have had a reality show.
Oh, I was
yeah.
like, okay, totally forgot about that.
I ever forgot
Yeah.
about that as well. Yeah.
But so it actually got pretty far along in the process where
Oh,
they
man.
interviewed like me and my husband, and they were like, okay, yeah, let's do something. And then I think they interviewed all of our friends, and we didn't have crazy enough friends. I think we were all too
boring.
like, too
Yeah.
buttoned up, or we were too aware, like
Yeah,
very
yeah, yeah.
socially aware peoples. So I think when they interviewed our friends, they were like, ooh, too clean, too clean.
Yeah.
We're too wholesome.
Oh my, why did I forget about that?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That could have been a thing.
It's really interesting because the producers are talking, they're like trying to pull stories out of
Yeah,
you.
because
Yeah,
they
yeah, I
interviewed both
could-
Janet
I
and
could-
Mel
They were
for
like-
like 30 minutes or more,
Oh yeah.
right?
They were asking me like, so how do you really feel about being the youngest in the group? Like, does it bother you? And I'm just like, whoa. I was like, I mean, sometimes like, I don't know. But oh my God, memory jog.
Yeah. How about for you?
Okay, so I mean, I watched The Bachelor for a couple years. I'm in and out of it, to be honest. I'm currently in, but like, it was definitely like a water cooler talk, and you always see the contestants say like, you know, how did you get on the show? They're like, oh, my friend submitted me in. None of my friends wanted to submit me in, and I was very single, and I was like, I would make comments to like my friends at work. I think I would said something to you too. I was like, yeah, they're casting, and then nothing. So I was like, you know what? I submitted myself.
Oh my gosh.
There you go.
Never got a call back. I don't think I fit that.
Did you submit yourself as someone else?
No, I submitted myself as myself.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Wait, what is the process like? Or
It's
what
a long process.
I don't know. I just remember like your name, a quick bio, and photos. That's pretty much it.
Oh, I thought it was like a pretty lengthy application.
I think when I submitted myself was when they didn't have a lot of like Asian casting too. So
yeah.
now they do, but I don't think I would have fit for The Bachelor.
I would have submitted you.
But you didn't.
Because I think I remember opening up the application, whether it was for you or for you, and it was so long that I was like, never mind.
Dang, Helen. I could.
It was definitely not a quick bio.
It's okay. I submitted myself. The last one is, this is very sweet. Y'all are just figuring it out like the rest of us. Yeah. It's very true.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know what I'm doing after this. So, what am I saying? Never mind. Sorry.
Exactly. She's still figuring it out.
We're all still figuring it out. We definitely are. And I think we're very like just normal human beings, you know, with a public persona. But yeah, I was having like a conversation with one of my friends who just got let go from his job. And we were just talking about how he was just like, I don't know what is coming up for me. And I even thought to myself, like, I don't know what's coming up for us in 5 years. You know, we're all trying to figure it out. Like, life is very much always, the only constant is change, right? And it's just like you just never know. And so in our day to day, I feel like all of us, we're just very much trying to hold on to the things that we love, try to be the best like daughter and coworker and friend and, you know, person on this earth as we can be, while also being very kind to ourselves. So we're all definitely just trying to still figure it out.
Yeah, I would say if anyone tells you that they have it figured out or they have their stuff together, they're lying or they're fibbing. They're putting up a front. Yeah, I think also as like three people who generally are kind of a combination of like planning and goal setters and things like that, you learn. We're old enough now to know that you don't control life and reality. So
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, best to learn to go with the shifts and just let go.
Yep. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today on this topic about assumptions. Did you find any of these assumptions to be shocking? Do you have any other assumptions of us? Let us know in the comments of our YouTube. We are on YouTube. For those of you who don't know, you can leave a comment there and also leave us a rating and review on iTunes and follow us on iTunes and Spotify. That really, really does help us out a lot. And with that, we will catch you all on the next episode. Bye.
Bye.